Hello everybody, welcome back. For over 3 years now, I have been keeping track of my long-term dividend growth focused portfolio. I've been sharing my updates when it comes to buys, sells, dividends, and most importantly, how I've been developing as an investor. Every month, I share something new that I've been trying to dial in and focus in and grow in as an investor. I recently graduated high school, so it's definitely going to be an interesting one. And if you don't want to leave a $100 super chat or super thanks in the comments section, I completely understand because you have to be buying Starbucks actively. We've watched the portfolio go from $4,000 to $10,000 to $16,000, now over $27,000. Thank you guys for being part of the journey. This has been an amazing 3 years running the channel, and here's to an even better 4 more for one reason or another. On to the video.
Hello, I like money.
Currently, and this is absolutely wild to say, but my portfolio passed the $25,000 mark this month. Currently, the portfolio is sitting at $27,938.24. Now, out of all that, only $3,012 of that is gains, not including the dividends and total return. Currently, my cash position is the largest that it's ever been, and I'm very, very happy with this, sitting currently at $4,369.92. I still have about $1,300 in my checking account, which I'm probably going to invest, but it's just sitting there for now. I want to buy a few discretionary things. I apologize, Guff. I'm probably realistically only going to spend about $200 or $300 worth of it. The rest will be reinvested for sure. I made a giant deposit this month of about $4,000 into the account. Now, out of that, most of it was graduation money. I got that Danny lifestyle now, but I also did have some money from YouTube and, of course, my lawn mowing business. With the money, I'm not going to rush it into any particular position. The only thing I really did load up on was a little bit of SHG and kind of built up the position there, and I'm going to dollar cost average into that until it's about 15% of the portfolio. Go watch my SHD and SHG video that I recently made, and I explain way deeper what I'm planning on doing, but I'm essentially planning on going 15% SHG and 10% SHD. I'm not going to sell out of an ETF like a pansy man's investor when it's right now not a good time for its holdings when you look at the market cycle. Now, this is not the pretty part of the portfolio update, and I'm not a pansy man's investor, and I actually show my returns here on the channel. This is not total returns, but right now my portfolio is underperforming the S&P 500 pretty bad. Now, this is from May 31st of last year. This is not all the 4 years that I've been investing in these companies, so the returns are obviously a bit flawed here. But right now, according to Schwab, and that's a big according to Schwab, I think it's more realistically the 20 to 25% mark. Right now, I'm currently underperforming the S&P 500. I have a 13.77% gain since May 31st, and then the S&P 500 has been up 34.61% since then. Now, a few things to look at here. NVIDIA has absolutely carried this. NVIDIA, Tesla, some absolutely insane runs right now, and it's very easy to nitpick performance. I also have a few core holdings that are struggling, i.e. Target, Starbucks, Vici, but also a few of my holdings have kind of offset some of those losses like Apple and Microsoft, which are my 2 largest holdings at the moment right now. So yeah, I don't believe that I'm actually underperforming by about like 25%. I've been investing for 4 years now, and don't get me wrong, I'm definitely still underperforming, but I don't think it's at that 13% mark wherever it's at. I'm still consolidating a lot of positions and really building up the core positions for the portfolio and just constructing my portfolio, and I do think that we are on the rear end of that by now. I think I still have about 4 or 5 positions that I'm going to sell out of, and I'm still just waiting for the right time. They're still really good businesses, and I do eventually hope for recovery and plan for recovery. A few of the companies that I'm looking to sell out of eventually, likely Kroger, Altria for sure at the $55 to $60 range. I hate to say it, but Target. But right now, I think my patience is definitely being tested as an investor, and I'm growing as an investor. My patience has definitely grown from where it was at a year, even 2 years ago. I'm also doubling down on some positions that I'm at a big loss at right now, which I'll talk about in the buys and sell segment. Currently, 16% of the portfolio is in cash, 67% of the portfolio is in large cap companies, and 15% of the portfolio is in small cap companies. And I may or may not have added a new small cap stock that we may or may not have been talking about on the Cash Flow Kings, but that's for the July update. But the dividends this June were a little skewed off because SHD and SHG paid out a day late, and they paid out in July, so that's going to be adding to my July total. And I think my July total might be the highest ever month because I have SHD and I also have Vici, which paid a giant dividend, which you saw if you follow my Twitter at Ryan Dinglish Show. But June is typically a really solid month for my dividends, and starting off, it is of course Kroger, Visa, and Intel Day on June 1st, which unfortunately was June 3rd this month. But to start off, I got $4.69 from Kroger. Don't know where I'm going to sell Kroger at, likely above $55. I'm currently sitting at a 22% gain on that one, but I'm happy to collect that dividend, which they recently increased 10%. Next, we have Visa, which is a position I have been absolutely building up into a core holding, and it is a top 3 holding at the moment. I got $3.51 from them. Of course, I reinvested it, and I'm happy to be buying Visa at these levels, which I think is fair price long term. Analysts have this as a low price long term when it comes to Visa's forecast, which might say something. It's an awesome business, and I'd actually be fine with it being like 15 or 20% of the portfolio, so I'm definitely going to be building it up. Goes below 260, I'm going heavy in, but I've been adding pretty heavily right now, actually, in the mid 260s and below 270. Next, I got a nice $7.97 dividend from Target, which I believe right now is a little undervalued. It's not enough undervalued for me to be buying it, for me to realistically start adding back in the Target and putting my toes back in the Target cult. Below 130, I'd likely add more. But still, I do think I'm going to get a solid return on Target. I'm just being patient with this one. They actually cut prices about a month and a half ago, which will be a really interesting reaction to see how that plays out in their earnings. They also had a lackluster dividend increase this month, unfortunately. Next, I got a whopping 55 cents from S&P Global, which I've recently added to a little bit. I think it's fair price, but I'm happy to reinvest at these prices. Then I got $4.58 from Microsoft, which has been on an absolute tear recently. I was buying Microsoft at $225, which is absolutely wild to think now. It's at $466 right now and currently at an all-time high. I just noticed out of the blue I had like $200 or $300 in gains recently, and I'm like, wow. But the only buying I've been doing of Microsoft as of recently has been those dividend reinvestments. I've not bought in a long time. And looking back, I may have wanted to buy some at 370, but I'm happy where I'm at right now. I'm up about 92% of my Microsoft position. There we go. Smash the like button. Next, I got a whopping $4.47 from Realty Not Reality Income, probably the most depressing stock I own, and another one that I want to eventually trim. Interest rate recovery play for right now. I'm just being patient with it, but I am worried a little bit about its actual business, as Walgreens just announced they're closing a lot of stores. So I'm actually worried a little bit for their core business. A lot of their core tenants are kind of Walgreens type retail, which I've seen dying faster than I expect in the last like 5-6 years. Something definitely to pay attention to. Next, I got $5.34 from Mickey D's McDonald's, which I've also been adding to a little bit recently. And on the same day that I got paid for McDonald's, I went to McDonald's and celebrated with a 20-piece nugget. Next, I got my last ever dividend from NextEra Energy, $1.68. I sold out of that position this month, which I'll get to. Then I got $1.76 from my small position in Waste Management, which is honestly another question mark. I could sell out at some really nice gains right now. Speaking of selling out of a company with really nice gains, Texas Roadhouse as well. Only own 2 shares of that, but I got $1.24 from them. Insane gains on that so far. Then I got my 36 cents on interest from Schwab. Thank you very much. And lastly, for the month, I got $4.58 from Union Pacific, which has actually been trading down a little bit. I'm probably going to be buying more UMP below 210. Love my railroads. This month in dividends, I got $40.73, so a solid month for sure when it comes to dividends. It's a beautiful thing when you're partying, celebrating life, and on vacation, and you see your passive income and your dividends roll in, and your portfolio gaining steam every day. It's really one of the more beautiful things. And here are my dividends received. It's been a little inconsistent as I've been heavily rebalancing the portfolio more towards a total return dividend growth based focus relative to where I started where it was more dividend yield. But I'm really happy the portfolio is at right now. Alright, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, the Delta app by eToro. Delta is the app that I personally use to track all of my stocks so I know firsthand whenever one of my favorite stocks is on a dip or up for the day. It's perfect for me personally because I can open it up at school. Immediately, I see the companies that are on up or down for the day, and I know immediately what stocks that I want to go buy from there. There's no better adrenaline rush than seeing one of your favorite companies in red for the day. And I know mainly on this channel that we cover stocks, but if you're into crypto, NFTs, or any of that kind of stuff, you can also track it there as well. So there's a large variety of stuff that you're available to track there. This is 100% free too, which is one of the huge reasons that I'm partnering with them. All you got to do is use my code in the description box. You can download it 100% free. This is an investment tracker, not a brokerage. You're not buying stocks on here. But if you do want to connect your brokerage to Delta, you can do that and track your portfolio. It's way easier than manually doing it. Thank you to Delta once again for sponsoring today's video. Alright, the highly anticipated segment here, the buys and sells of the month. Now, it was a very active month. I sold in and out of positions, and here we go. Alright, to start off, we had the Fabio Capital Mindset curse. $5 in a Starbucks. You guys already know the Starbucks cult, how that operates if you're in the Discord. Next, I started trimming out of my NextEra Energy at a flat gain, no loss there. With that money, I put it into Visa at $272. Then, I started adding back into my Disney position on this recent dip at around $101. Now, with Disney, I'm going to be adding a lot heavier in the low 90s. With Disney, I see that they're about to produce $8 billion in free cash flow this year, and that gives me a lot of confidence as a shareholder. They're producing free cash flow again. They're actually coming out with good shows and movies again. Moana 2 is supposed to be really a big hit in the box office, and Inside Out 2 was very successful. I see positive things happening in their business, and I'm going to be adding back in. It was rather I got to sell out of the position at a big loss or double down, and I see positive things in Disney right now. They're also buying back shares, which I love. Then I put $75 into Visa at $270. I bought 2 shares of Vici at $28.16. Put $50 into McDonald's at $249. $15 into Starbucks at $79.80. Then I sold my Nike, which I made a video about, at $95 at a 16% loss. This was right before it crashed about 25 to 30% now and is now trading at $73 per share. I got very lucky on this one, guys. It was a $42 loss, but it could have been a lot worse. With that Nike money, I bought 1 share of SHG at $100. I put $75 into Visa at $275, and I bought 1 share of Vici at $27.91. Then I put $75 into Visa at $265 at the end of the month. July has been such an active month for my portfolio already, and I'm really excited to show you guys next month, but this is June. That's the portfolio update. I'm being a lot more patient with the companies that I'm buying right now. It could have been very easy to already blow my $4,000 worth of capital that I added to the portfolio, but I'm not going to do that. I'm being a lot more patient with the companies. I'm going to dollar cost average into SHG. Thank you all for being part of the journey. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already for my graduation, and of course, do Dividend Stocks, Drugs. Have a good one.